Cold weather bats. How are we doing? It is the middle of September? No, it's the first week of September. Football season. Everyone's focused on that. I admittedly enjoy some football. My partner to the right here, Michael Rubenstein, also enjoys some football, as you can see by his jersey today. Shout out to Bryce Underwood and the Michigan Wolverines. Hopefully they beat Oklahoma. To all the state fans out there, good luck with your Boston College game. If you find me in any other setting, I would probably say that in a different way. But since we're here, I'll be politically correct.
They might need the luck.
What'd you say?
They might need the luck.
They might need the luck. They tend to. That's okay, though. That's a conversation for another day. Today, we are talking to Cam Pallo. That interview is going to be in the middle of the show. And then we'll also talk about the CWB Top 100. That being said, it might be a minute since you guys have heard from us. So we're going to run through some things quickly just to kind of refresh your memory and keep you informed on what's to come here from Cold Weather Bats in the 2025 and 2026 season. We'll start off with this, Mike. This is officially the beginning of the new year, right? So there won't be games played officially in any capacity until March, but this is the beginning of the new Cold Weather Bats season. And what we are really ramping up this year and bringing back from 2 seasons ago is the CWB 100. It is the top 100 players in the state, and we are counting them down weekly from now until right around when the season gets here. It's going to be a little bit before, but right around there. And we'll be breaking them down in increments of 5. So if you head over to patreon.com/coldweatherbats, you can find the list right now, and you can see who number 100, 99, 98, 97, and 96 is. And then we will next Friday release 95 to 91, so on and so forth until we get to number 5 through number 1. It should be a blast. So much talent. People will tell me I'm wrong. Getting used to that. Michael, where are you in the world of CWB today?
Where am I? That's a fantastic question. I mean, there's so many places where to start. We have so many great things on the horizon here that I am very excited to bring to the forefront as we continue. Obviously, first of all, is this top 100, seeing behind the curtain, seeing the work that we're all putting into this. It really is it's a tremendous production. The amount of due diligence and effort that you personally are putting into this, it's really good to see how this is turning out. And I just have to say for all the listeners, you all are in for a fantastic treat. So really, if you haven't yet, be sure to head on over to that Patreon. It's going to get good. It's going to get good really fast. We are excited to really get going with that. We have some good tie-ins with this that we will be bringing to the forefront in the coming, let's say, weeks. I think we're probably in weeks for that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we spent all August really building up, what this was going to be and planning things out. And we opened the submissions for the top 100. So we wanted to hear from everybody, all the coaches, parents, even some players who nominated themselves. And hey, if you got it, you got it. So I understand. Yeah. And, any way we can figure out who you are, we want to, right? And we don't want to leave a stone unturned. We're going to cover the state of Michigan baseball as best we can. And little by little, year by year, we have kind of beaten the allegations, right? Because early on, we were just a Grosse Pointe podcast. And then it was just a Grosse Pointe and Mary's podcast. And then it was nobody cares about the West Side. You guys only cover the East Side. I think we've done it all by now. I think everyone at this point has kind of come to understand that we don't really show any favoritism. We just want to cover the state as best we can. Are there certain areas of the state and certain teams that we know better than others? Absolutely, right? So inherently, we do learn a lot of these things and come to know these players and teams. But our focus this year is getting to know everyone as much as possible, that does take some help from you. So if you head to our website, coldweatherbats.com, you'll find all sorts of ways to make sure we know who you are, whether it's contacting us via email or messaging on social media. We've given you the resource of the top 100 submission. Of course, that's closed now, but all the same, we'll continue to do things like that in the future. In Forest Hills Eastern product, he's a right-handed pitcher committed to Michigan State. He's going to talk to us about his journey through recruiting, the crazy world of the transfer portal, and how that's affected recruit in his world, and the biggest surprise for him, and quote unquote how the game is played, and just a wild, wild story about how recruiting works these days, and how you can be talking to 3 or 4 coaches in one day and then never hear from them again the day after. Feel like you're going to get an offer and then you never talk to him again. But he ends up going to his dream school. He wins the state title at Forest Hills Eastern this past spring, knocks off Orchard Lake St. Mary's in a complete game effort in the semifinal. It might have been 6 innings. I'm almost positive it was a complete game, but an awesome job from Cam Pallo. So we hear from him, talk to him. A West Sider. Like, I just want to point that out, a West Sider. To all my West Side listeners, let me know I don't pay any attention to the West Side, which the West Side coaches would not say that, I don't think. The ones that I – so we'll go to that interview here in a few, but for now, I call you Ruby just because that's just what I do. So that's for those who don't know, if I ever do call him that on the show, that's who I'm referencing. But Ruby, we are going to talk about the top 100. And before I hand it over to you, just so everyone knows, like, the process of how this works it's very difficult. Like, I don't feel great sometimes writing them because it's really hard to say this player is, quote unquote, 6 spots better. So let's just get that part out of the way. Okay. A lot of this is kind of like, it's interchangeable, right? Like, not like I thought about it, and this is what I told, Michael going into it, where, we were talking about how I was going to list them out. I said, I'm going to group them into tiers and then I'll rake them based on the tier they're in. So I've got in my head, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 players. And those guys are all top 100 players in my opinion. But is a sector for each of them to fall into, and I rank them based on where they fall in that group. I don't note that in the top 100. You won't see tiers or anything in the actual publishing, but that's kind of how I went about weighting the process out. Considered how they did in spring, but I also considered strongly how they did in summer, how healthy they were. If they didn't really put up the stats they expected to in the spring, was it due to health? Was there an injury? If they didn't perform super hot in spring, did they go finish it up and clean it up in the summer and have a great summer circuit this year? All sorts of things that went into it. Talk to coaches, talk to players, talk to travel coaches, high school coaches, and try to find a way to figure out who truly is one of the 100 best players in the state. We will start talking about that list today because it has lived on Patreon now long enough to where everyone has been able to see it. And now we're happy to discuss it with y'all. And then make sure you head to the Patreon on Friday of this week to check out the following list. But before we get into that, Michael, any final thoughts on the top 100 and kind of what goes into that and what people should expect as we roll this out between now and the season?
Really just turn on those notifications wherever you're getting podcasts. These will be coming out on a weekly basis. So if you are not subscribed to our Patreon, where we will go a bit more in depth with things a little bit earlier, be sure to have those notifications turned on. Subscribe on YouTube. Find us everywhere. And that way you are getting it immediately. It's absolutely perfect. And make sure you hit those subscribe buttons really everywhere to be on top of it.
All right, that takes us into our first interview of today's episode, and that is with Cam Pallo from Forest Hills Eastern High School, and as of recently, a proud Michigan State commitment, going to stay in state to play his college baseball from the West Side. We are sometimes called an East Side show, but today we are not that. We've got one of the best arms, if not the best arm in the 26 class from the West Side, and Cam Pallo on the show today. How are you doing, Cam?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing Cam and I got to know each other a little bit this summer. I was lucky enough to go down to Omaha again this year to coach Team Michigan with Coach Farner, and Cam was down there as well and got to kind of have that experience, which I thought was cool. We'll talk about that during the interview, but we'll start off with this. Cam, you were able to announce your commitment to Michigan State. Take us through the process of kind of coming to the realization that it was going to be state and the timing of that decision?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I wrote down a goal. Our high school coach has us write these goals down, and my goal was I want to play baseball at Michigan State. So I didn't know how to make it happen. I knew I was going to have to work really hard. It's obviously, a crazy, crazy goal. But I went to the future games last year. I was coming out. I broke my ankle last May, so I rushed it back and tried to get it going as fast as I could. So I threw there. I didn't have a lot of interest into the fall. Did a bunch of camps, and I knew there was what I wanted, and then there was what seemed realistic at the time. And I just I put my head down, worked really hard this off season, and came out in the spring and felt really good, and then had a chance to throw in front of them in the state semifinals. I threw pretty well, I thought, and it led to more conversations with Michigan State. And then throughout the summer, we communicated, and then in the end, I went to a camp. Felt like I threw pretty well there too, and they called and gave me an offer in the next 2 days, and that was kind of like I couldn't turn it down because it had been a goal of mine, and getting that opportunity felt amazing. So.
Right. Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes you just know. And, being recruited in today's day is a totally different journey than it was a few years ago. You had an older brother who was recruited, so I'm sure you got to kind of see the differences between now and then, which are vast. There are many. Just from your perspective, what was the one or two things that you can think of throughout your recruitment that you weren't prepared for that you wish you were, or just things that might have surprised you along the way?
I was really surprised with just how the game is played, honestly. There's days where you hear something from a school, and then, it's one day they're like talking to you a bunch, then you text back a day later or 2 days later, and it's like, man, they ghosted me. And it's like, wait, we were just talking, and so that's what I was super unprepared for. But obviously, they got a class to fill, and guys that they like to see, and so I mean, there's nothing towards them that they're doing wrong. I think it's just I didn't know that was part of it.
Yeah. I mean, to the highest extent, it's a business, right? Especially nowadays with players being paid. I know our sport doesn't necessarily have the NIL that football might have or basketball might have, but still, it's there, and it definitely plays a role in the South, especially. But now more than ever, it's the transfer portal, right? And that's where we see NIL taking the most precedence is the transfer portal. How difficult is it to be a recruit and thinking logically about where you fit in the class without being able to really understand what they're going to bring in the portal? Or maybe even was there a school you were interested in, and you don't have to name them, but a school you might have been interested in the spring, but summer came and they filled 4 or 5 different arms through the portal that might have blocked your possibility of playing time on that roster?
Yeah, obviously, like trying to compete with guys that have played college baseball for 3-4 years is tough, but I think coming in there, working really hard this off season, and coming in with 3-4 good pitches that I can throw for strikes, would definitely make it so there's a chance I can compete as a freshman. And obviously, Big Ten baseball is really good, so there's going to be that Big Ten humbling moment for sure in the fall, but it'll be. I'm really excited just to get in there and work with some really good baseball players.
So let's kind of zoom in a little bit. We talked about recruiting as a general aspect there, but let's talk about your recruitment specifically. Why I know Michigan State's your dream school, but going into your recruitment, did you have hey, these are my priorities that I'm looking out for, and they just happen to be dream school plus my program I want to study plus comfortable with the coaching staff plus I'm comfortable with where I'm at in the roster? What were some of the things you were looking for that kind of matched up for you recruiting wise?
So first of all, my thing was, the highest level possible. So just get in the door and just work and work and work for those innings and compete against the best guys. But another thing for me was just kind of just the culture. And you hear of the culture at Michigan State, and you got a lot of guys gritty guys that want to win. And so when I heard about all of that, and being close to home too, which was great. There was a time where I was looking out east, and some of those schools out there, and which would have been great. But given the chance to play, Big Ten baseball for a great program and with a bunch of great guys, 45 minutes from my house is pretty cool. So I couldn't turn that down.
Yeah, 45 minutes from the crib is hard to beat, right? Especially when it's at a stadium like that, a stadium that you had a
Yeah.
lot of success in. And you mentioned this earlier. I'm happy you didn't go into it too much because I had dedicated a part of the show just to this. So I'm happy you kind of surface leveled it because you almost kind of did my job for me by previewing it. And now we can go into it later. A magical season for Forest Hills Eastern where you pitch at and have played the last 3 seasons. You're going into your senior season this year. But, I mean, well, I believe it was 44-1. Or is that right? I think I'm right on that. 43.
I think so.
Yeah,
43,
44.
44. Yeah.
You lose count after a while. You won 38 in a row. It was absolutely incredible. We were all witnesses to the St. Mary's team of 22 and 23 that went on those crazy runs in Division One. But as far as Division Two goes, few can really hold a candle to what you guys did this year. You're not just champions of 25, but champions that will probably go down in the record books with a record like that, and against competition where Division II has not been this good in a very long time, with some added talent that came down from Division I with the likes of an Orchard Lake St. Mary's. That I feel like if I'm you guys, if I'm Forest Hills Eastern, you wanted Orchard Lake, right? I mean, you saw that from the very beginning. You knew that was probably top dog. And you got that game at the school that at the time you didn't know you were going to end up at, but the school you end up committing to. Take me through like the days leading up to that St. Mary's game and then the game itself.
Yeah, so there's obviously a ton of nerves, but all year long it had been like that. So, the preseason polls came out and obviously they're number one, and it's just like you hear the name St. Mary's and you show up and it's a bunch of really good baseball players, a bunch of really like big kids. And you're like, man, these kids are all huge. But going up to that day, our pitching coach and our catcher was just like, stay loose and just give them what you have. Like, you don't hold anything back. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We've had a great season. There's nothing like, and like they kind of just said, you're our guy for this game. So, definitely tons of nerves, but it was just, you get out there and you kind of look around and you see. I feel like Forest Hills Eastern, we brought a ton of fans, a ton of students. So when you see all those people supporting you, it just brings life into yourself. And I don't know, my first pitch, I threw the backstop and I was like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be like that. And then second pitch was like a dotted fastball on the outside corner. So I was like, maybe it's there today. And then it just kind of kept flowing from there. But it was pretty cool, and just seeing all those people and your whole community come out was really really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had your stuff that day. You were finding corners pretty easily with the fastball, and the secondary was mixing in pretty much wherever you wanted it to go. What's it like to just have that? Is it like one of those things where in between innings you're thinking about it as like, I hope it's still there when I go back out there, and it's just as simple as that? Or are you like constantly trying to inning to inning what you need to do better? Or what was that like during that type of game? Because I mean, I think in a normal game, you seem through our 3 or 4 days of experience together in Nebraska, and then obviously knowing you through the show and everything, like, you seem very composed, you seem very calm, cool, and collected. But that's a massive setting. That's a massive stage. What was it like, especially what was that? It was like a 2-1 game for a long time, right? So what was that like between innings? Like, what was going through your head?
Definitely just stay locked in. A lot of the guys between innings, and I like to play loose, so I'd come in the innings and chat up with some of the guys that weren't in the game or were in the game, and just talk about, what I'm seeing out there. And we had a guy who did, one of our coaches is awesome. His name's Coach Balana. He gets scouting reports, and so he, would come over and let me know, like, the next few guys you're going to see, attack, 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 or here we go towards the top of the lineup. Let's spin stuff. Let's go fastball. Let's throw a third pitch here. Like, and our pitching coach too. And, just having all that really helps out. You can, the guys that are going to try and play small ball, and so you know how to pitch those guys. But I mean, obviously, when you have a group of guys like we had, we're really tight, and really everything was clicking that day. So.
Yeah, I mean, and to beat a team like St. Mary's, it kind of, for you guys, you win that semifinal game, and I know you have multiple arms, but I mean, you were the guy this year. You were the front of the rotation guy. You get that win. You secure the victory over the big program. But, I mean, you're trapped into a potential, like, quote-unquote, I don't mean this, but a quote-unquote hangover game, right, where it's like we come off this super emotional victory over the team that is the brand name, is the blue blood. And not that you guys aren't, because, Forest Hills in multiple directions has been very successful over these last few years. But, to beat St. Mary's, how hard was it to roll over into that next game and keep everyone kind of focused on, hey, it's still not over, we still got one left?
There was kind of that bus ride back that we took to kind of celebrate and be like, holy cow, we just did that. But then, we have a really good team captain this year in James Dempsey, and he's at MIT now, which like the smartest kid you'll ever meet. So,
Right.
but he was really good at just keeping us together and like, look, we still got a job to do, guys. Like we were on the bus ride over the next, and he was saying like we can celebrate that game if we get through this game, because obviously you can't take the team we played next light. They had lost like 3 games all year and had an arm coming at us that was 90 plus. Like, so that was the thing where we were like, it's not finished. Like, kind of like it sounds corny, but like it really wasn't. But it was cool just to get that finished and just see the kind of the roadmap we took to McLean and through McLean, which made it a little cooler in the end.
And then Preston was, I think, who you guys ended up seeing, right? Preston Kahn was that the final, or did he throw the semifinal?
He threw the semis for him.
Okay. So they had 2 arms, right? So
yeah, they had 2 guys, and Preston's obviously ridiculous, and so was the other kid. That
a lot of good arms, in that Final Four. So let's wrap up here, and we'll get you out of here. Unfortunately, our boy Cam here was assigned group work on the first day of school. Not super cool, but we'll do it. Take us through the 2026 spring for Forest Hills Eastern. What do we need to know about this team going into the year? I know we're super far away and there's so many things to figure out, but just on the surface, what do you guys know that you have?
We bring back a lot of talent. Obviously we lose, big pieces of our order and Brendan and Max Farrick and James Dempsey. But the guys that come back, our leadoff hitter comes back, our 2-hitter comes back, and I think our 5-hitter, one of our corner guys who was great for us all year long, and then a couple of key outfielders too. So I think there's definitely a chance that we can make a good run next year. Behind some guys that are going to work really hard this offseason too, and once you get a taste of that, you're like, let's try and do it again. Why not, right? So. It's definitely going to take some seniors, some guys stepping up and bringing the guys together like the seniors did last year. But I think there's a chance, not a chance. I think there's a good shot that we can do something cool again next year.
So we're officially on FHE back-to-back watch. So wrap it up here. Who's a player on FHE I don't know right now that I need to know for next year?
Oh man. I mean, you probably know Colton Branks, first team All-State guy, pitcher, really good. And then Ben Fawzy, he flies under the radar. He was our 2-hitter. He raked for us all year long, sound defensively, and he's only going to get better this year. He told me he's going to quit basketball and just completely lock in. So he's going to do that. And Kenrick Pankovic, third baseman for us, he's money too. He's going to work hard too. So we got a good group of guys and seniors there that we're going to see compete really well. So,
all right. Well, that does it for Cam Pallo, a very accomplished 2025 year for you, a Division II state champion, league, district, region, all of those things as well. And then where'd you land on the state teams?
Oh, I got hurt throughout the year. I had an injury, so I didn't have a lot of innings, but towards the end of the year, it's when I started picking up again. And
you got the ring. That's what counts, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
State champion. The Michigan State Committee is going to go play Division I baseball. It's all working out for them. We will see you in the spring, I'm sure. We're having the player draft this winter. We hope you can make it out. You'll certainly be invited, and we'll definitely be seeing your name on the top 100 throughout the fall. So we will talk to you then. We appreciate you coming on. Take care. And I won't say go green, but I will allow you to as you walk out here.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you for having me. Go green.
All right. Let's dive into number 100 on our list. And if you know me, you probably are not surprised by the fact that the list starts off with a downriver kid. It's a sophomore, right?
I had to cue this up here. I wanted to cue this up. You're from downriver, right? That's I think everyone knows that by now. I think your jacket does something along the lines of that.
I think people got on.
We have to kick off with the Wyandotte kid, don't we?
I wish we could kick off with a Wyandotte kid. We've only got one Wyandotte kid on our list. We haven't gotten to him yet.
Haven't gotten.
Sadly,
Okay, so we got to kick off with a Woodhaven kid.
So we got to go kick it off with the Woodhaven kid. We have to, and that's going to be sophomore. He's not the only Woodhaven kid on the list. You know, a team that we in the Super 25 have top 10. We think this is a really, really good team. They have one of the better lineups in the state, private or public. It doesn't matter. This is a great lineup. 1 through 6 can really, really tag it. Don't know what they have 7 to 9 yet off the top of my head, but I can imagine that they're going to round it out well. Ton of returning talent, returning production. On the mound, they return a lot. Especially excited with the growth of this kid because I think he could become, you know, Newstead was awesome for Woodhaven last year. Doesn't jump off the charts with velo or anything, but did a really good job of keeping an ERA low. I'm not sure he had more than 4 earned runs, if not less, all season. As a hit or miss guy, low strikeout, just pick the contact and let that defense behind him play for him. This kid, Tristan Spencer, who's number 100 on our list, is a left-handed hitting two-way and a left-handed pitcher who was like low 8s last year. Good junk that he mixed in. And that was when we saw him in like a 1-inning usage, like really early in the year, like a 30-degree day. You know, Corey Farner would say we shouldn't have played that day. I probably, in retrospect, shouldn't have played that day. All the same, we tried to get it in. So I saw Spencer in like a 1-inning format. Well, a few months go by, I get to see him again. Kid's throwing hard, much harder than he was that day. He's mixing it real well. And this was the playoffs. He started in the district semifinal for Woodhaven, overcame Carlson in, I think, a near complete game effort from him. He's got like a mid-8s fastball right now, mixing it really well with a couple breakers and a curveball and a changeup. But where I'm really, really looking at this kid is what he can do as a two-way and how I weighted this. I'm like, how is this player going to impact his team? Okay, is he a really good, like, middle-of-the-order hitter who's just going to hit a lot of singles and clean RBIs? Like, that's valuable, but that's not super impactful. Spencer is interesting because I just mentioned how strong Woodhaven's lineup is, right? Last year as a freshman in this loaded powerhouse lineup in Woodhaven, 36 RBIs and 41 games played. He had 4 triples with a 309 average. He went 5-1 on the mound with a 208 ERA. I mean, nearly a 40-40 season, 40 hits and 40 RBIs as a freshman in a really good league. Downriver League is one of the 5 best leagues in the state. And he went out there and shined and looked like he belonged. He's one of the bigger kids in the league already, too. I think he's 6'2", 205 is what we got him down as. That's what PBR had him down as. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a little bit heavier than that in a good way. I think it's mostly muscle on the kid. He'll probably get rid of he's got classic freshman slop on him that I'm sure he'll clean up as his body matures, and that's only going to help him more. But this was a list that's not based on projectability. It's not based on how this player is as a prospect. It's based on how he is as a production.
Today.
And he has produced like no tomorrow for this team, and he will continue to do so. His production lends the idea that I probably should have ranked him higher. But I do think we're going to see some freshmen at like Brother Rice who are going to didn't make as big of a jump last year because it was Rice, and they will this year. But Spencer is a kid that could absolutely grow into this frame of his and continue to dominate and be a top 25 player come his senior year.
Perfect. Now, I think you just did the classic radio tease to take us into number 99.
Yep.
We have here one of those freshmen now going into his sophomore year at Brother Rice. And this is one that from doing, reading your research and knowing this roster a little bit, this is a real good player. So
yeah. Yes. So we'll go right into it. Number 99, Jackson Hafner. It might be Hefner. I don't know, but we're going to go with Hafner. We'll go Hafner because the A is in front of the E. So grammatically speaking, it should be Hafner. Again, another sophomore. He's a two-way. Kind of seems to be a theme these days. And, positive production as a freshman. Didn't do a whole lot that jumped off the page, but he did have a home run against St. Mary's. So he was able to kind of fill in and be pivotal and impactful for them in some bigger moments, but not super consistently. He's still 6'3" with a fastball. It's being run up to 85. Where I really, really liked this kid was I went and watched his summer stuff. I saw him what he did in the summer circuit for the Hit Dogs. Super impressed. Had a great showing at the WWBA, multiple other showings, couple MVP as well. Steady pop too, man. I mean, his EVs are always 90 plus. He's a Hit Dogs kid, so they get out and they play a lot. And so his numbers are pretty accessible. And really, it's not like he went to one camp and did well. It's like, a couple showcases, all 90 plus CVs, about 10 videos from the summer, all 95 plus CVs. Like the kid can hit. The kid can hit big time. A left-handed bat, right-handed thrower, a little backwards, but like I like that. I mean, some people are more, you always want the right-handed thrower and the left-handed bat rather than the right-handed bat and the left-handed thrower. But, a guy who on the mound is going to be a problem next year and probably enters a rotational role as Brother Rice moves on from Illich. That spot is open. We know Duhame's likely the guy that they're going to have to depend on at the top of that rotation. But Hafner's a guy who probably steps in and rivals for another spot in that rotation. Not to mention, we know Rice. I mean, they play a game every day that ends in Y. So like he's going to find a way to get on the bump for them next year. And he'll probably make a really strong impact in the lineup. Really where I'm most intrigued, I know this is a bit of a contradiction in that I'm mentioning how this is a production list. He produced super highly in the summer, super highly against his peers. And as he continues to rise, he's one of the 5 best sophomores in the state going into this year, and that's where he lands in our list at number 99.
Well, so 98, that's going to take us right back out to the west side and a team that we were quite familiar with in Jenison. This was a name I know we talked with those guys out there that was brought up as someone to keep an eye on. And again, another big boy, 6'4", 250 as listed. And that'll be number 98 is Nick Potter.
Nick Potter is a guy who he could be a top 25 kid this year. He's got what it takes. Not a lot. And there might have been an injury here. I should have done better to figure out why there wasn't much posted about him in the spring. Last summer was already 6'4" and nearly 250 per perfect game, and ran the fastball up to 87 as a freshman. He's a 90-plus arm this year, I'd have to imagine. I'd be shocked if he's not. Massive, massive frame, 6'4", 250. He's going to hit the ball hard too. But really, he's where I'm looking at this kid is on the bump. I think he's going to be one of the better aces in the state come time for him to be an upperclassman. But I think the breaking out party for him comes this year because Bosch is gone from Jenison. So again, as one kid graduates, someone has to step up. Potter looks to be that guy. We already know that Jenison's coaching staff was very high on him going into last year. They have high expectations for him. He is an important piece of their program now and in the future. And Potter, to me, looks to be the next dominant, big-bodied, like overhand throwing ace that you see from the west side and really statewide. This is a kid that I'm looking at as, he's 98 because of present value, but come March, if he puts together a healthy fall and a healthy winter and ramps up in the spring, throwing that 90 plus that he's looked and again, mixes 3 different pitches to complement the fastball, 2 breakers that really move well. This is a kid who honestly has the ceiling to be a top 30 player this year, top 25 player. And by the time his senior year comes around, this guy has the goods, man. Like there's a sophomore that we're going to talk about in a few weeks from now as a kid who I think he's unbelievable. I've heard nothing but great things, but Potter is like, he's not, I don't know. I haven't seen the bat. I can't comment on the bat, but the arm and what he presents on the mound and what it could be and what it already is really scary. And I think he could be a top 10 kid come senior year, come junior year, maybe too. Just really, really high on this lad. So that's number 98.
So we've only covered Division I talents thus far. Let's take a look at maybe, I don't know, let's go Division III, throwing it out there. Oh, wait, there we go. Yeah. Number 97, dropping down to Division III, Columbia Central.
Mm-hmm. You've never heard of him. I've never heard of him. This is a first
Never
name.
have heard of that.
Yeah. I'm look, we're a discovery podcast. We like to find out more about the state. People should not be offended when we don't know. You've never heard of Wyandotte if you are from Columbia Central, I'd have to imagine, unless like you follow me for some reason. But like, we all live in small towns for the most part, right? Not everyone is playing at Brother Rice or Grosse Pointe South or Dakota. Like, there's plenty of small schools to go around across the state that I'd love to learn more about. And nobody knew what Liggett was 30 years ago. Did it even exist 30 years ago? It might not have, right?
That's
So
probably a better question.
and you see what it did in a short time, and shout out to Samani for that. But we'll move over to Columbia Central, where I really, really like this player. Name's Connor Renfro. Again, another kid where I might be off on this ranking. You know, I might 97 might be too high. He might be a top 60 kid. He might be a top 50 kid. Had a really, really strong junior campaign. He really had a breakout year this year. A kid I didn't know a whole lot about. But started seeing tape, started paying attention to tape. I actually ended up inviting him to come play for Team Michigan, but he had some scheduling conflicts and all of that. So he's a really good player. Where he shines for me in the future, long term, is on the mound. He is a two-way in high school. I don't know if that will translate to college, but he's already running the fastball up to 89. But it's really the rise and run. Everything he throws has something on it. He's got a couple breakers he mixes in with the fastball, and the fastball is living 87, but it's living 87 and it's moving in on your hands. If you're a righty, it's moving off the barrel. If you're a lefty, it's hard to hit. At the D3 level, he just absolutely dominated. Really strong year statistically. At the plate was great. Almost hit 400. Had 3 bombs to go along with it. But on the mound, a 1.7 ERA, a 5-1 record, and 71 strikeouts to 22 walks. Really, really dominated. But you look at a guy like that and you're like, okay, in baseball, it's different, right? Because if you watch a hooper go play basketball and he does real well, you can sit there and be like, it's D3 talent. I don't know how it'll translate. Baseball, it's a little different with a pitcher. If you're throwing 88, 87, and you're picking wherever you want it to go, and occasionally you're hitting that 89, that's probably going to play in a few different spots, right? And he proved that this summer. He went down to the PBR National Championship down at Lake Point, had a really good showing. Scouts had really good things to say about him. That's where he was able to run it up to an 89 a couple of times. Really strong frame too. I mean, he hasn't really built out the physicality of it yet, which to me is encouraging because he's already doing this at his current stature, which is 6'1", 175-ish. If he could put on I don't even know if you could put on maybe 10 pounds of muscle, but somewhere around there, just get a little bit more physical and round out a little bit, get some scapula going. It's a kid that I really, really think could be a 90-plus arm come spring. And we see them so often now, but I still think one thing that hasn't gone away as baseball evolves, especially in our state, is that every single kid who throws 90-plus, I have to see it to know what it is. Because one thing that's changed a lot in the last 10 years is far more kids throw harder. But one thing that hasn't changed is for every 10 kids that throws hard, for every 10 kids that throw hard, 7 of them can't throw a strike. And so you have to see it. And having seen it, it's good, dude. It's real good. So that's number 97.
For those that don't have the state of Michigan map ingrained in their brain, because I don't,
Me neither.
Columbia Central, that'd be located in Jackson County in Brooklyn, where MIS is. So
awesome.
There's your the CWB geographical lesson of the day.
Shout out to all the kids who graduated high school around the same years we did that went to Faster Horses back then. That was a thing. Yeah, people used to go to that. So that's a thing. Different show. Different show to discuss that.
Yeah, that'll take us down to 96, and we can't have a 5-player list without having the Fighting Grease Bombs represented.
Right.
So here's our honorary Grease Bomb for Grosse Pointe South. We have was it Dane Lizotte? Is that how you pronounce it?
Dane Lizotte, yeah. And not the only Blue Devil we're going to see on this list this year. We've got another one that's a little bit higher up, but Lizotte's a really good player. The super producer for Grosse Pointe South, a super producer. You could not draw up. He is the epitome of what a Dan Greasebaum player is. He gets on base a ton, he walks a lot, and he strikes out seldom, right? And in the meantime, he's going to hit 398 as a junior this past spring, 31 RBIs, 37 hits, 2 bombs, and get this, 14 walks to only 12 Ks in over 100, or it's 110 plate appearances exactly. 12 strikeouts and 110 plate appearances. Having played against them, this guy was a pain at the top of their order. Multiple guys were D'Lo and and Domzalski were really good too. But you're supposed to have something there that you can get past. And like South's never really been known to have these unbelievable lineups. They're very scrappy. They play baseball extremely well. They don't make many mistakes. They're very sound. Lizotte he's got a lot more pop than you might lend him credit, because when you go watch South play, you're expecting a bunch of barrel finders and singles hitters, right? Who are going to hit and run thereafter. That's kind of what the identity has become there over these last, 50 some odd years that Dan's been there. And yeah, Lizotte falls into that category for sure, but he's also got pop, more pop than you would think. And he's like a steady 90 to 93 exit velo guy in all of his testing. He's not running like a sub 660, but he's extremely sure-handed up the middle. He's a very sound defender. He's probably going to be, I think he's going to be their shortstop this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was last year too. So he's a sure-handed middle infielder. He's a top-of-the-order bat that hardly ever strikes out. I mean, if you were to put a percentage on that, 12 out of 110. So is that 0.1% he's striking out? I mean, it's absurd. Like, I would kill for that in my order, not to downplay any of my guys or anything, but we'd love that. And any coach listening knows how valuable of a player that is, right?
That's so valuable.
But there's
your table setter every single day.
Right. But at the same time, though, like, let's not Wes Welker him. Let's not say like, oh, he's just a gritty worker. Like, no, he's a talented player who could get a lot better. He could get a lot stronger this offseason, come back and hit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bombs, whatever it may be, especially at Southfield, where, as left-handed hitter, it's harder to go pull side there because the right field's deeper. But all the same, you get some favorable opportunities to go yard in that league, especially with North and all that as well. And so I'm high on the kid. I think he's a really good player. You talk about the stuff that's obvious, the table setting, the no strikeouts and all that, but it's also like he could get really good this year. He really could. He is, like, lest we forget, he's nearly 6'2", right around 170 pounds. I think this is one of the better players in the MAC this year, and looking forward to watching him play.
I think the biggest thing, and to kind of bring it all together, the state of Michigan, again, has some really good talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's just evident already. I mean, we have all the skills are represented here in just these 5 players, right? I mean, you got all of these kids that are having with these really strong arms off the mound. They're two ways, hitting the ball hard as well. A lot of extra base power, home run power for these underclassmen that we're showing. State of Michigan it's coming again. We got the players that are going to be quite good once again, and this list is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, and like, just to clear the air on this, like, if you're at 96, like, you shouldn't be discouraged. This is a loaded state. This is considering all the classes, and there are a lot of good players, and not even if you're the 50th best senior according to PBR, it doesn't mean you're the 50th best overall player according to CWB. That's just not how the world works. PBR is a recruiting service. They're going to, weigh off of prospects, which I can respect, and I don't have any issue with, but we're thinking about it in a little bit of a different way because we serve a different purpose. And it's hard to make these rankings. And I write Lizotte 96, and I'm like, are we sure there's 95 players better than him? No, I'm not sure. I'm not positive at all, but this is my best guess. And if you are lucky enough to make this list, I would be grateful no matter the number next to your name, honestly, because this is a loaded state. Year in and year out, it's one of the 8 best states in the country for baseball. Year in and year out over the last 6 years, I'd say for sure, but 10 years, maybe pushing it, but 6 years for sure.
Yep. Biggest thing, if you're on this list, take it and use it as motivation. If you're thinking you should be higher, show us. If you think it's you're right in line, perfect. Go execute and prove us right. Simple as that.
No doubt. But that just about does it for the top 100 for this week. But Michael, just make sure we remind everyone, what day does the next numbers come out?
We have the next numbers, which will be 95 through 91, coming out on Friday. That'll be coming out on September 12th. So be sure to keep a lookout for that. It's It's going to be fun, guys. So be sure to have all those notifications on. Before we take off here, of course, a shout out and thank you to our apparel from G Brand, who continuously hooks us up with the best of the best. If you are a team, an organization, a business that needs anything, Brian Metallic has new stuff coming out on like a daily basis. I think he's now doing flags. So he does everything. If you need something, reach out to our friends over at G Brand. And with that said, be sure to follow us on all of our socials so you can be sure to be one of the first ones to know when these things come out. Turn on those post notifications, subscribe everywhere, and keep up with us throughout this entirety of this off season.